Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate you allowing me to wave onto the committee as I have some issues that I'd like to discuss with our TVA president, Mr. Lyash. So thank you, sir. Firstly, I'd like to just say this has been a great opportunity to listen to some of my members question some of the officials here and ask for assurances and guarantees, and they've all given assurances and guarantees, so I think this is teeing us up real well. You know that the federal government would like to have a zero net carbon policy by 2035. TVA is at 2050, if I understand correctly. Can you assure me that you will get it down to 2035?
Thank you for the question, Congressman Cohen. Always a pleasure to see you, and I enjoy our conversations on this and other topics. TVA's goal is, as many other utilities, is to get to net zero carbon by 2050, and we would like to go farther, faster. So we are taking every available action to add carbon-free resources to the system. We've been focused on optimizing our hydroelectric fleet, expanding our nuclear capability, adding aggressively renewables like solar and wind to the stack, as well as storage, which is important. And we're focused on doing this while maintaining energy security, and by that I mean affordable, reliable, and resilient power for our customers, and decarbonizing.
Let me stop you for a minute, because I kind of know, I've heard most of this speech before. You've got 3 gas plants that you've got online to build at Cumberland, Kingston, and Cheatham, new natural gas plants. You plan to go along with those 3 new?
The Kingston project is still under evaluation. We've issued a draft environmental impact statement, and we're taking public input on that currently, as well as trying to update that analysis to reflect the potential impacts of the IRA. So that's
good on Kingston. How about Cheatham and Cumberland?
Cumberland, final environmental impact statement has been issued, and the board's decision was to retire those coal units and to replace that critical capacity with a gas-fired combined cycle plant, and that project is underway.
So that's going to contribute to putting off from 2035 to 2050 your net zero.
Yeah, the retirement of the Cumberland coal units and the replacement gas is about a 60% reduction in the carbon emissions from those sites. Over time, as we deploy additional renewables and hopefully additional nuclear, we would expect to be able to operate less gas and have it as a capacity resource and use less energy, thereby reducing our carbon over time.
The price of natural gas has gone up because of the Ukraine-Russia war, et cetera. Does that affect the cost of gas that TVA buys as well?
It does, although because 60% of our energy comes from sources that really have zero carbon and zero fuel cost, there's a natural hedge in the diversity of our portfolio. We rely about 28% on natural gas, so when the price goes up, we do see that impact. That we saw that price go from about $3 an MMBTU to as high as 12 or 15. It is currently back to $2.50, sort of pre-crisis levels. In the long term, though, we do expect upward price pressure on that natural gas.
So does that make it less of a good investment to take Cumberland and Cheatham and make them into natural gas plants rather than go into more alternative types of energy that are net zero?
Yeah, I think the answer is we need to do all of those. We're adding solar as fast as we can obtain access to panels, so the constraint there is supply chain. The natural gas simple cycle and combined cycle plant are flexible, dispatchable, and resilient, so they represent a capacity resource.
Let me stop you here. I've got just 50 seconds left, and I'm getting the impression I'm not going to get an assurance that we're going to get down to net zero by 2035.
That's our objective.
It is your objective.
Our objective is to move that net zero performance forward as fast as we can. What we've said is we have line of sight to get to 80% by 2035.
Let me ask you this. The TVA Act clearly requires disclosure of TVA employee compensation. I've asked you on many occasions to give us TVA salaries and disclose that information. You've not done it. Why do you refuse to give out the salaries? We know your salary, which is give or take $10 million this year. Is that correct? 9 million?
Yeah, 8 million. Thank you.
8 million. This is tough. Yeah. But how about all the other employees that earn $1 million or more, which we've requested their salaries? You've never released those. Why is that?
We're required by the Securities and Exchange Commission.
You're required by the TVA Act to disclose TVA employee compensation.
Yeah, and that provision of the act we complied with by submitting the required report to the Congress and the White House for many years. The requirement was changed as part of a record reductions effort, and we were requested to stop providing that report several years ago, and so that's no longer required. We do provide a comprehensive compensation disclosure to the Securities and Exchange Commission, which lays out the entire
But that's
structure
not the
and
people.
metrics.
That's not the people that created the TVA. That's not what the TVA Act requires. And that's just not right, Jeff. It's not right. You're part of the government. You're created by the United States government. You're part of it. Salaries should be transparent.
Gentleman's
And when
time's
people are making
expired.
over $1 million, the public ought to know who they are and what they're doing.
Gentleman's time's expired.
Thank you.
Chair now recognizes Mr. Graves.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just going to start out with my friend, Mr. Cohen. Mr. Lash, I had no intention of asking you any questions, but I am going to say that I'm going to associate myself with Mr. Cohen's comments. Your position's unsustainable. Just want to be very clear. You're a government entity. Your position's unsustainable.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question I heard?
It's not a question. I'm just telling you, your position is unsustainable if you're not going to provide him the information he's asking for. You're a government entity. You need to provide him the information. And I'd just give you a little counsel there. I'd strongly urge you to do it. Otherwise, you're going to be compelled to do it, and you can either cooperate or it's going to get a little ugly. I'd urge you to comply with his request. Secretary Connor, thanks for being here. I saw that look on your